I was just telling Ryan before we got on here that we're going to come a little early. I think we're actually a half minute early, and it's going to be early today because there is a lot to talk about. Because really what we only need to talk about is that everything is weird. Isn't it weird? In fact, who's the next presidential candidate up? That's kind of weird, but could it be a reality? I don't know. This thing is so bizarro. That's Ryan's word. I like that bizarro world. The land of make-believe. Could we have even begun to imagine that taking us back to July 4th and just a little beyond, that this is where we would be right now? We know what transpired during the debate at the end of June. But, you know, they want to deem everything weird. An assassination attempt of the front-running presidential nominee for the Republican Party. That's really weird. The fact that you had a president, or you have a resident/president in the White House who is showing that his mental capabilities are not there. And there is this sudden bearing of all the facts, whether it's doctor's reports or whatever it might be. And of course, there's nothing wrong with Joe. He's sharp as a tack, only to say he's not sharp as a tack. And everyone's saying, I don't think he's capable. But yet, he's still the president. That's weird. Kamala Harris. I don't know how you get any weirder than her. In fact, we're going to have a lot about Kamala today on the DPB show. I do appreciate you. As you're coming in, thank you. Thank you. Once again, like, subscribe, share, push this out, because ultimately it is a victory that we have Kat Peterson back at a local radio station, Cities 92.9. The news and talk of Bloomington Normal. It's good to have Kat back for a 2-hour show from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. But we need more. Once again, more in 2024. We need more people involved in this movement. This is a movement to save our country. If we don't elect President Trump on November 5th, 2024, we will no longer have a country as we know it. It'll be a country, but it will resemble something other than what the United States of America has always been for 250, going on 250 years, 248 years to be precise. We are on the cusp of losing everything we hold near and dear to our hearts. And you know what? That's kind of weird. The fact that we even have to have this conversation. Who would have ever thought that there were people out there collaborating, working together to undermine the very freedom and liberty that we have here in the United States of America? And what's even weirder about it are the amount of people who seem to think that it's just an illusion, that it isn't real, that these people, that's not what they want. Well, let's just add Ryan right in the stage. Ryan, it's always good to have you here. I don't want to be late.
Hello.
Ryan, it's weird.
It is weird. Weird times we live in, indeed.
Well, I mean, I don't know what better way to expound upon that than just to go ahead and roll it for about a minute, 36 seconds.
Are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are. As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance. Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird.
They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird. It's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird
Notice how
thing,
it's
because
always
it is
personal
a thing.
attack on an
Plain
individual.
weird.
What was weird was his talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain
Diet
Dew?
Mountain
Have you ever
Dew.
seen the guy laugh?
Yeah.
That seems very weird to me that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone. That is weird.
What it is post the assassination attempt, they're having to dial down. Trump is dangerous and demonic. He's going to be Hitler when he gets into power, though they're still doing a bit of that. What did he say to that Christian audience? He's going to make himself dictator for life. He admits as much. I think he was joking. No. Since the assassination attempt and the subsequent apologies, they've had to go, we have to dial down the demonization of Donald Trump, but we're going to dial up getting him off Google searches, and we're going to dial up saying he's weird. That's what it is.
It's weird. I don't know what other way to put it than it's really, really weird.
You know, imagine running for public office and your campaign message, instead of attacking the policy differences of your opponent, you call him weird.
Well, you talk about Diet Mountain Dew. I mean, here's the essence of it. And Russell Brand, I'm glad that video ends with Russell kind of bringing some clarity. Now, that's really weird too.
Yeah.
If you would have told me 2 years ago that Russell Brand would be the voice of reason and common sense for America, it goes to show you that it's the least likely person that you would ever think of.
Mhm.
God definitely uses the broken.
Yes.
You know, Russell Brand recently converting, right, to Catholicism, being baptized, becoming a Roman Catholic. I mean, who would have foresaw that? You know, you want to talk about weird. That's
Mhm.
weird. I'm sure a lot of people are saying, wow, this dude is transformed his life. This is what it's about. There's a whole nother transformation video I want to play for you, which is very weird. But that's where we find ourselves now, is people are able to at least voice, like Russell Brand, that this is all a setup. It's about dialing back the rhetoric. They know it. I think I've got it here, because KJP's asked directly to give a breakdown, a question from a reporter asking her specifically, KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre Van Damme, what's your feeling on this? And here's hold on for a second, cancel. Nope, they don't want to do that. Add to say, there we go. We're getting it there. There she is. They ask her specifically the question about inciting people from the platform of being the president of the United States.
Mhm.
Did Joe Biden believe that he was responsible for that?
Hmm.
And here it goes. If I can tune it in here quickly.
That's ought to be rich.
The president said. He even made an address in the Oval Office.
Oh, I didn't start. Hold on.
There we
Back
go.
her up. There you go. That's the best way to
Did an
listen
interview where
to her.
he said that maybe being called a threat to democracy was a cause of his being shot. How would the president respond to that?
What I will say is the president has always been very clear when it comes to violent political rhetoric. There's no place here in this country, in our nation for it. He's always spoken about that. He's spoken about that for the past, the past several years throughout his career. And, right after the assassination attempt, the president said, he even made an address in the Oval Office and talked about lowering the temperature. He talked about getting to the bottom of this, having an independent investigation, and how important it was to do just that. And I talked about Charlottesville. We saw how the president spoke against January 6th, the day.
Now that is really weird. So taking that and pivoting off of everything seems to be weird now. Well, that's weird that you would stand in front of in front of reporters and basically say that President Biden has done anything less than ramp up the rhetoric,
Yeah.
calling people extremists. And so that to me is weird. So if they want to go down the road of talking about personality differences, I think it's really weird what's happening on the left. And coming here, I mean, there's so many things that we could cover in the hour that we're on the DPB show, and it comes at you like a tsunami. You're taken back. That's what we had said prior to coming on, is that, Ryan, geez, how many videos are there out there that we could share and play for you? Because it's almost overwhelming, because this is part of who's the next presidential candidate up, because they basically don't have a horse on the track. They believe that Kamala is that person, but this was merely a tryout for Kamala. The sooner they could get her in there, they had such a difficult time of getting Joe out. That required that they probably, who knows, threatened him with the 25th Amendment, which would totally take away his ability to pardon or commute Hunter's sentence, and to be clear of that, also to maintain any type of resemblance of wealth, because it is about the money. Show me the money.
Yeah.
And you have that with the whole dysfunction of our federal government right now, especially in the Secret Service, in the FBI. I don't know, Ryan, to spend an hour trying to figure out what is the best way to approach letting people know, those that are frequent flyers here at the DPB show, because this is the conversation we want to have. We want to have it in the chat room. We want to have it, in the comment section, chat room, whatever. We want your insight. It is good to have Kat back on the radio. It is good that we're continuing Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 to 5 live. And even in my inability to be in studio come Thursday for at least the next few weeks, because I'm going to be in Florida, the free state of Florida, with the best governor in the land, Ron DeSantis. We're going to bring you the content. We're going to stay on top of this. I mean, the debacle that happened today at the Senate hearing with the director of the Secret Service, and the fact that these folks, I don't know if you caught Dan Bongino's show today, but he's got a source who has come out to Dan. He knows who this person is. He worked with him. And he basically said that they refused multiple times to give assets or any resources to the Trump campaign. And yet this FBI or this Secret Service director goes on under oath at this hearing and basically says, no, that's not true. So Bongino about loses it on the radio today.
Oh my gosh.
And he basically said, you either come out, I'm giving you 1 week. At least that's fair. I get it.
Yeah.
That person's going to be under a great deal of duress. As you mentioned, Ryan, as soon as J.D. Vance's name was linked with Donald Trump, you knew he was going to be the spawn of the Orange Man. He the spawn of Satan,
And I think you have to own up the things in your past, whether you said some things you shouldn't have, or you said things that were maybe taken out of context. That is part of what you are dealing with in the life of public office. You dealt with that. Sure. I read across some WGLT articles that were lambasting you when you were running for public office, just to kind of see the opposition when you were running. And it is amazing the level of veracity the other side will take when they come after you. If you
the vitriol.
It
They'll
is
say anything,
amazing. Even if you're squeaky clean, they will find that you cleaned your house the wrong way, and they will say you're an extremist.
Well, if you drink Diet Mountain Dew,
it's so weird now. You drink Diet Mountain Dew. I don't know. I have no words.
And that's the thing. It's easy to get caught up in all of this sideline because this is purely deflection, distraction. One of the things they're not going to get to the bottom of, and they've moved on so quickly,
Yeah.
and it's not even in the news cycle, is here we are 2 weeks removed from Trump's assassination, and yet it doesn't even Google and Facebook basically removed the ability to see the video of the event at Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You couldn't even search the assassination attempt of Trump.
Yeah. What came up was Truman or Reagan.
Yeah.
And usually, so what he's talking about is the population. When you go to type something in halfway, it'll do like a predictive search. And usually you can find Trump under that. Well, what happened was it was on the back page of Google. If you had to find the article, it was still there, but it wouldn't pre-populate what you were trying to type in. And that is not by accident. That was not some error. Just like Facebook said, it was accidentally censoring a photo of him up on the Secret Service shoulders. There was not. They found a edited image of the Secret Service people smiling when he was doing that. So they said that was the error. They were lumping in the original photo. This was not by an accident or an error. This was by design. This is blatant election interference, what the media is doing now and social media is doing. Thank God Elon took over Twitter or X, because I don't know where we'd be without him opening up the airwaves on X. And you see our own government, our Secret Service, which has one job to protect the protectee, and they let him almost come within a millimeter of losing his life because of sheer heat on a sloped roof, or the fact that they blame local officers not doing their job. The excuses keep piling on.
Well, in the fact that they won't even acknowledge that it was a murder scene. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Trump says now that he has no problem returning to Butler, Pennsylvania. In fact, he intends on having a blowout celebration, their rally, and good for him because, obviously Trump's put everything on the line. When we talk about our original founding fathers, they pledged it all, their fortune.
And some were
in their sacred honor.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump is pledging. And to contrast that, like I said, I'm not going to talk about Kamala as far as, there's a new video out that Trump put out that has her dancing and everything, which still was dealing more with her being the person in charge of handling a lot of the most major issues, policy issues facing our country right now. But here's Kamala asked, and this is a real short 27 seconds, and she's asked a very specific question. She's asked about gun confiscation, and you've got to listen really closely. So here it goes.
As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action. Because what we need is action.
She's going to take executive action. So let's catch it here.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but listen.
Hold on.
Adding to your gun control agenda? Yeah, I think it's adding to your gun control agenda? Yeah, I think it's a great idea, but listen, I don't think we lack for great ideas. As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action.
Sounds like she's going to be a dictator.
Oh my gosh. The same idiots that told you Donald Trump was a dictator are literally on camera telling you, I'm going to use my executive action in office and pen and paper to do what Congress is not going to do, because majority of Congress, whether you think it or not, won't enact on a controversial topic that they know is unconstitutional.
Well, and gun confiscation, that was the question. So no different than Joe Biden going against the Supreme Court ruling about the student loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
Kamala has now gone on to the record saying she is going to confiscate guns. Folks, if ever the flags and the sirens shouldn't be going off, they're not hiding it anymore. Now, I do believe that this is Kamala's bat, right? She's been given this position. She's trying to get herself off of the proverbial lily pad or launch pad. For her, I'm going to say the lily pad, to see if she can actually jump. And unfortunately, there is nothing that is happening in her campaign. In fact, what is going to happen here in the next week, before we come back next week on Tuesday, today's Tuesday, Thursday, before we come on Thursday. So even in 2 days, what is going to transpire? Because there is nothing showing that she is getting any traction, no matter what the media says. And it's fascinating because a lot of people come up to me and say, "Oh, David, it's David Paul. It seems like, they've made the right move. They've got a woman in there." And, I don't care who it is. The women aren't behind her. They can promote that. They can continue to make that one of their talking points. Women aren't behind them. Blacks aren't behind them. Hispanics aren't behind.
Yeah, the latest one, white dudes for Harris, is the biggest joke too.
Well, white dudes.
White dudes for Harris.
But they've got to pull out all the stops because ultimately she's got a small window.
Yeah.
When is the convention? August. I just had it up. No, the date. Is it August 6th?
Something like that. Yeah. It's very early.
Let me search it real quick. I want to make sure we have the right dates. But bottom line is the convention's upon us for the DNC. They are going to go in. They didn't do their virtual thing unless they do that in the next couple days and they suddenly coronate her without going to the floor and having the convention, as you saw it in Milwaukee, people standing up, making declaration from each state that we, the people of Missouri, we, the people of Nevada, we, the people of North Carolina, we, the people of Pennsylvania, we, the people, and they put forth their candidate.
Yeah.
I first and foremost, I don't know if she has all the states yet. Is there a consensus?
There's a difference between pledged public support of the delegates in writing on Twitter and the difference at the convention when they actually put forth the total. So we're not going to know anything about who has the totality of the Democrat delegates until we get to the convention. I mean but the party of democracy, and we need to save democracy from Trump, utilized every tactic but democracy to select Kamala as their leading candidate. They kicked a guy off their ballot who was the most popular candidate to them, 81 million votes, and they kicked him out after 3.5 years. And now they have somebody who's even left of Bernie Sanders, who was not popular in her own state running against Biden in 2020. This is who the Democrat Party has become.
Well, what's really weird to me is that we don't have a secure border.
Yeah.
And based on most of the evidence I've seen, Kamala, you are the border czar. In fact, that's what Joe called you, the border czar. What's really weird to me? That just 4 short years ago, we were not involved in one international foreign war.
Yep.
What's really weird to me is that this administration has yet to fully acknowledge the 13 military personnel who were killed in action over in Afghanistan. What's really weird to me? That at one point we were energy independent. People were purchasing. We were an exporter of oil. Now we can't even figure out how to get 2 battery connectors together to make sure that we can generate enough power to run any of these EV vehicles because we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the grid to support what they have in mind. And not that there's anything wrong with Rivian vehicles. I like the Rivian vehicle. I think they're sharp-looking vehicle. Would I buy a Rivian vehicle? Maybe someday. They're kind of costly, and right now I'm kind of fresh out of the money that they're looking for, but I'm taking nothing away from Rivian. I think they put forth a good product. Is the infrastructure there to support it? It's not.
No.
And they haven't built that out. They should have spent time building that out before they try to roll it out. And not everybody is going to want to own an EV vehicle. If you want to buy
weird.
if you want to own an EV vehicle, buy an EV vehicle. If you want a gas combustible engine, one where you don't have to stop and energize your vehicle through a battery pack, then you should be able to buy an energy or a combustible engine vehicle, automobile. Obviously, the list goes on and on. We used to have control of our educational system. We were teaching our young people reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now we're indoctrinating them into the ways of sexual deviance.
Yeah.
And that's
Now
what it is.
They're teaching them how to think, and you're supposed to think critically, but now they're teaching them what to think.
What to think.
And
versus
that's
how to think.
what's even worse. And do you homeschool your kids? Parents that work, but that both work, can't afford to stay home and homeschool their kids in today's economy. So what are the options? Can you afford a private school? Most of us can't. So the options are very limited. And the only way to kind of get around that is to vote differently, vote for change, actual leadership change.
Well, so that's weird. If you want to see
weird.
something weird, look what has happened in our school system. And where is that coming from? That's the big question. Where is that coming from? I believe that this is part of where it's coming from, Ryan, and this is Kamala. She is in conference at a place called Transform the White House.
Oh.
Have you seen this video?
Yes, it's disturbing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play it because I think we all need to see how disturbing this can be. This is Kamala Harris, and she's in an interview, and let's just go ahead and play it.
When I was Attorney General, I learned that the California Department of Corrections, which was a client of mine, I didn't get to choose my clients.
Right. A client of the Attorney General.
A client of the Attorney General, of the Office of Attorney General, that they were standing in the way of surgery
for prisoners.
And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case,
Transform the White House.
I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. And I believe it was not only, I know it was historic in California, but I believe actually it may have been one of the first, if not the first in the country, where I pushed for that policy in a Department of Corrections.
You know what's weird? Radical leftists want men inside women's prisons.
Well, the fact that this entire interview, once again, this is pandering. So
how tall is that guy?
Yeah, the trans person is interviewing Kamala. She wants to make sure everyone knows that this is what she believes in, which gets back to the weirdness.
Weird.
When in the world would we have ever seen something like this? I'm not taking away, we obviously have slowly walked into this thing. We had Bruce Jenner making a decision that he was no longer comfortable being a man. And once again, he was an adult.
Yeah.
He made a decision. Yeah. What these folks are talking about isn't Bruce Jenner.
No.
It has devolved into, they believe it's open season on K through 12.
Who are the easiest targets of their agenda? Who are the most influential audience of their grooming capability? Children. How do you get children to follow you more? Give them the idea that they can be whatever they want, and then separate them from the parents that they've done in some of these far left states. Get the parents separated from their children in decision making, and then push the lie that you can be a boy and you can be a girl when you're not.
Do you know what
That
else is
sounds weird that they're against the nuclear family.
what is weird is that we have a group of people in this country that don't understand what it means to make America great again. It is weird in a country like ours that we can have prime time viewing of perversion. And I'm just not talking about what transpired the other night in the opening ceremonies of the Olympics. And you know what? Let me go on record right now. I don't care if it's Greek mythology. I don't care about Bacchus or Dionysus. None of that means anything. My concern is the soul of this nation and where we're going, where we're leading people. You know what? If you like Greek mythology and you like perversion, I can't stop you from indulging in that craziness. In fact, I'm not offended by the opening ceremony. You know why? Because I didn't watch it. I don't watch prime time viewing unless when it's prime time and I'm viewing, I'm streaming because I'm making a conscious decision on what I will consume, what I'm letting in. I did not see it real time, of course, because I am a creature of the social media world. I have seen the pictures of the depiction of whatever that was. Some people say the Last Supper. I don't know. I don't care. What I do know is there were depictions of multiple or threesomes of where people do things that are unspeakable that once again, I'm not here. Hey, if that's what floats your boat and you're an adult and you can get away with that wherever you get away with that, that's fine. I believe it's a sin, and therefore someday you're gonna have to repent sooner than later because your time is running out. But when you start impacting or bringing children, the book of Matthew and the gospel speaks very clear on if you lead the children astray, what's going to happen to you. There were young people in this depiction of the table that was set for this Greek celebration, supposedly, because what's also weird is how many Christian pastors are coming out defending whatever transpired in the ceremony. I believe it's purely a distraction. Once again, take your eye off of what really matters, which serving God. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and all your strength. All. And all means all. Yes, the Olympics are about racing in life. Most of what they do is they compete. There's a race. We're all on a race. We're all going for the ultimate prize, but that prize is not a gold medal. That prize is eternal life. And no, we don't earn our way into heaven. It's by grace and by mercy that we are allowed to enter, into the eternity forever and ever and ever. But what we are expected to do here, I believe, and it isn't based on reward, is that we are supposed to walk out heaven on earth. And by no means is watching the opening ceremonies walking out heaven on earth. There is so much more to do in life. As I said, we are. Is that you?
What's that? Yeah, I'm ready to tee it up whenever you're ready. No, go ahead.
Oh, it's playing.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I shared it just so you get on the screen. But so this, speaking of weird, and the opening ceremony.
Did I mute it?
Yeah, mute it, and then I'll play it. Okay. So speaking of weird, And if you need to know the JD Vance's weird crowd and the Donald Trump is weird crowd message, this is who
I can't control the volume on it.
I'll get it.
I can turn down the volume.
Yeah, I'll play it in a minute
Here, turn the
as I
volume.
screen
There you
shared.
go. No, that turns you down too.
I'll get it. So this is the Democrat Party, their message overall that this is normal. Whatever we're watching in this 50-second ad is normal. So I got it.
There you go.
There we go.
Now, no, I can't hear it. Now I have to add it to stage.
Here we go. You got to add it.
All right. Okay.
So this is
Now,
an ad campaign for Kamala Harris. Just in case you were wondering what this is.
now you don't have any volume.
No?
now the because I got it unmuted. Hold on.
Okay.
Rewind it. Start it over.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Can you hear now?
Yep.
Okay.
She can get bills passed in Congress that'll protect me and you. Black, white, Latino, Asian, or LGBTQ. She could get this country back to where we can stand tall. Keeping us safe from harm without building a wall. 'Cause she's a woman. W-O-M-A-N. I'll say it again.
Who gets credit for this?
K-A-M-A-L-A.
K-A-M-A-L woman. Wow.
So it's weird that none of the women in that video were not actually women. They were men for Kamala.
Weird. Weird.
Yeah.
So where I was going, and I know that it didn't seem like I hit upon the point because I think you're getting the point. 4 years ago, Reagan said it once, were you better off 4 years ago? And that's where I bring us back, because I think we have to go a long way back in the Wayback Machine, because this has been building for 7 years. This is something that has been walked out. It's been planned. It's been orchestrated little by little. The undermining, the destruction of the world as we know it, the United States of America, and they have been working incrementally on making sure that they could infiltrate every aspect of business, culture, you name it. They have and control. Because what's really sad, and I don't know how they make this work, because I'm just a guy who has never really bought into the system. I always push back. Imagine that. And I push back against it. So I was never invited to be in the inner club of anybody's world. In fact, the interesting point is, I think that's one of the reasons that Darren Bailey included me, is because he knew that this guy's for real. This guy is walking out life by faith and not by sight. He's not allowing culture to dictate to him. He's not allowing the corporate world to buy him off. He's not allowing to be influenced by people. When I see these congressional hearings and these, and these senators asking questions of these Secret Service guys, and these guys, basically these people who are employees of us, answering questions where they're blatantly lying, cheating, and stealing, I just begin to wonder how deep and how wide. I listened to Ben Carson. I encourage all of you to go out and watch Ben Carson, Tucker Carlson. It's out on X.
Mm-hmm.
But Ben was asked about the swamp, and he didn't call it a swamp, because he said, and I just lost the word that he called it. I got to go back and look for it now. But he didn't call it a swamp, because within the swamp, he said, there's actually benefit. Things that live, that thrive in the swamp. He called it something else, and I'm going to have to get it for you and let you know. But it's so true, because what these people have become is beyond really living creatures. They've sold out their soul in so many different ways. They are walking in the darkness, and these Secret Service agents, these directors, these deputy directors, who's pulling their strings? You know, I couldn't help but think about the Marvel movie where those, you know, people who were able to manifest themselves as walking Americans in
Mhm.
our you know, who were really these, you know, foreign bodies from
Yeah.
aliens.
Yep.
It's almost like these people have been possessed by something that isn't them
Mhm.
because they're willing to do anything. And how many of those people are out there in these agencies? We know that President Obama literally seeded the entire government, and those people still walk among us. I
Mhm.
call them the walking dead because that's
Mhm.
what they are. Deep down, they're dead, but they are so impassioned by the ability to keep their jobs. Most of those jobs are paying well over $100,000 a year. A
Mhm.
government job paying $100,000 a year. Where's that money come from? You and me. That's how they are able to fund government right now, is based
Yeah.
on the taxpayer. And so what level are these people held up, or, you know, I should say, what are these people being put up to do, and what is being held over their head? I am certain that Kamala Harris has something held over her head. You know, when people say, well, you know, she's not going to go down easy because she's going to use racism and xenophobic or misogyny. I'm sorry, you said xenophobic, misogyny. And I believe none of that.
Mhm.
It will take
Yeah.
nearly less time than it took Biden to get Kamala to finally decide, you know what? There's some reason, and whatever that might be, that another candidate is put in place. But with that said, if this is their candidate, Ryan, the person that we just played for you over and over in all of these video clips, confiscating
Mhm.
guns, talking to the trans world, you
Yep.
know, being propped up by all of these media acolytes who say everything's weird. If this is who's propping her up, what do they really have in store over the next, hold on, let me get it here.
Yep.
This is cue the share the screen, and
Mhm.
I will do that. Um, what do they have in store for us over the
Mm.
next 97 days?
Mhm.
8 hours.
Well, if you really need an example, just look at what happened in Venezuela.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the same rhetoric and ideas that Venezuela have taken on under Maduro are the exact ideas and praised by the common denominator of the Democrat Party. They praised him in his last election. And now they chastise him for being a dictator. But these same people are doing things like undermining the Supreme Court and wanting to take the Supreme Court to their side of the aisle. You know, one of the last things before a nation is ruined and into complete socialism disaster is reforming the courts. How many Supreme Court justices does Venezuela have? One of the last things they did to remake Venezuelan government was destroy the court, undermine the court's institution. You smear it and you say it's unconstitutional what they're doing and it's against democracy. It's a threat. That's how you destroy a country and a civilization, when you undermine the last institution that is supposed to be the barrier from free fall. And Venezuela did it, and the Democrats are trying to do it here. They want nothing more than to have total power forever, a one party rule. That's their
But
goal.
by lying, stealing,
Mhm.
cheating, because that's what they are pro. I actually
Yeah,
commented on the
they
Democrat
know their
Party.
ideas can't actually get elected.
Well, one of the things that they're not pro, they're anti-project, they're anti-project 2025.
Yeah.
And this is something that obviously they needed to put up because, hold on, I keep clicking it off.
Yeah.
They needed to put this up because where do they go from here?
Yeah.
As DC Drano says, I know there were things in Project 2025 that were appealing, but what if much of it was a trap designed to hurt Trump by making him seem more extreme than he is?
Yep.
Remember when Lindsey Graham introduced the national abortion ban right before the 2022 midterms?
Yep.
He knew it would piss off Dems and drive them to vote. It was designed to hurt the red wave, and it did.
Yeah.
I think there's a little more to this post, so let me see
Yeah.
if that's the case. Screwy Lindsey Graham, screw Lindsey Graham and anyone trying to misdirect and defeat the mega movement.
Yeah.
And so this raises a question, of who do we trust? Who can we trust? I mean, you sure can't trust the Democrat Party on anything. You can't trust the mainstream media on anything.
Yep.
You can't even trust the people within our own party or people within our own circles. Right here, the mega movement, we've been infiltrated. You have to know that. Not everyone is who they appear to be. They are trying with everything they have in their power, which once again, I believe is a spiritual battle. That power is not from God. That power is from the evil one. That is the essence of the sower of the seeds and the good seed and how that all works itself out. I posted that today on my Facebook page. There is the evilness of the weeds, and the weeds are trying to choke off the fruit, the plant, I should say, which then will not bear fruit. We are still called to bear fruit, but more importantly, we are called to coexist with the weeds. It's not our job to pull the weeds. God's going to send his angels to take care of the weeds. We are to prepare ourselves, knowing what the weeds are trying to do, which is to drain us of our ability to have life and life everlasting. And that's what we need to prepare for more than anything is what will be happening here in the next couple months. And I think it was 97 days, Ryan.
Yep.
97 days until election day.
And
if you back out 40 days from 97, if my math serves me, that's 50 days. In 50 days, we the people of Illinois will be we have the opportunity, polls open. You can go ahead and cast your ballot, cast your vote for president. And Ryan, you had mentioned this.
Yeah.
What can we do about it?
Yep.
More in 2024. We have to flood the ballot boxes. We need to get everyone we know. The interesting thing about the county fair, and I find it fascinating. People from all walks of life were coming up to the Republican tent at our county fair. I mean, all walks of life. There would be people who I would have said, no way, no how. They are not going to participate in the electoral process. And I just flat out asked them, are you registered to vote? And they're like, you bet we are. This is the election to end all elections. Meaning that if we don't do this election, kind of like what Trump said, there might not be other elections anymore.
Yeah.
Because what does Trump truly mean by that? That we won't be voting anymore? Because we won't be. What we see happening right now in front of our eyes with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, there will be no more elections. There will be installations. Our leaders will be chosen for us here in the greatest country on the face of this earth.
Yeah.
There will be no longer will there be elections.
The same people that are tying themselves to the socialism way of life are the same ones that have been elected over and over again for their 20th term in Congress and enjoying the fruitful basket of their salary and their millions of dollars they've raised to stay in that position and their fame. The same people that are wanting socialism have enjoyed a 50-year surprise of what capitalism and a free market and democratic process is. A lot of them, they espouse the way, the right way socialism is supposed to work. When, by the way, when it's worked correctly, it's killed millions of people across the world and over history. So I don't know what way actually works, but when it works its best, it's killed millions in starvation. But you want no other example than Venezuela currently, and see what the Democrat Party is really going to do. They're going to say the courts are terrible. Believe us only. We're the arbiters of truth. Republicans are terrible. Everybody's weird except for us. That is their message. And they've been on this path for more than 10 years. This has gone beyond Obama. This has gone beyond their own, I think, ideals. They want to see how the American socialistic ideals can bring. And if we're not awake come November and getting rid of this, you're not going to see you and I on these airwaves much longer. That is the America that we are going to be in very soon.
My back's tightening up a little bit. That's why I'm slouching down on my chair. There we go. Now I'm back. Hey, but I keep forgetting this is one of my duties, that now that I have Mrs. Producer, my very own Tanya Blumenshine, my beautiful wife, running the comment section, I realized, well, she's putting them up there. I don't have to click on them anymore, but at least I should read them. And there's your beautiful wife saying, good afternoon, my fellow mega dudes. I did notice earlier that my wife put up a comment. I'll go ahead and hit it real quick. Kamala on the record stating that she will use executive order to confiscate guns.
Yep.
This is a good way to kind of end the show, because there is so much out there, folks. If you're not out on Truth Social, you need to be there. It sounds like that they've relaunched Parler. That's another one. Telegram, another great resource in the parallel economy. Rumble, YouTube still up and trying to compete, but if you want truth, go to Rumble. Plenty to search there. But the people like X is another great source now that Tucker has control. Tucker has control. Elon has control.
Well, he's got a big part of it. Yeah.
Yes, Tucker's got a big part of it. But that's where you can find Tucker Carlson. But you can also find other people like Dan Bongino. You can find people who are giving this voice, and you need to listen to them because they are rallying. They are sounding the trumpet. They are raising the flag. They are charging headfirst into this battle, and this is a fight. And as Trump said, fight, fight, fight. We've got to fight, because this is what we're up against. Kamala Harris is going to transform as she tried to the White House. And it's more than just dealing with LGBTQI or LGBTIQ plus and the transgender movement and the transformation. This is truly about unburdening us from our past. She means that. She means to do away with our past and to create a future that isn't the American way. It isn't the Constitution of the United States of America. She has an ideal that has been supplanted into her. And this is kind of an interesting thing. No one likes this woman, not even her own party. So why is it that she is now the nominee or the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party? That should bother us more than anything else, because will she be the nominee come the convention here in a couple weeks? I have been telling people, I think it's about 50% right now.
Yeah, you can
Things
go
don't
and
improve over the next couple weeks.
publicly
That number is going to go
say
down.
that you've got the nomination in the bag. You can publicly say that all you want, as she has done. Oh, she's cleared the threshold. She's got 2,000 delegate, whatever. That's all public. That's just pledged. Nothing has set in stone until the convention hits. So all this conjecture about, oh, she's the front runner. You even had the Obamas on microphoned phone call endorsing her last minute. I don't even think the Obamas like her. And you're going to see who they actually probably really wanted. Like, this has to have cost her something. I don't think they really wanted her as the candidate, but that endorsement had to have cost her and her camp something. What is it, Mark Kelly? Did they want Mark Kelly instead? We don't know. Remains to
Look
be
at
seen.
Tanya Blumenschein. Yeah, well, Mark Kelly seems to have the number. Tanya puts it up. August 19th to the 22nd is the DNC. Thank you, my beautiful wife, for getting to that. So it's actually more than 3 weeks. So she has time to figure out if she's going to gain any traction in the world as she knows it, the world as they have recreated it to be, the bizarro world, because it is weird. And that's where I'm going to leave the show today. If you can't sit back and say, wow, this is weird, they are right. Isn't it funny how they always come up with the best slogans that really depict and define what they're about?
Yeah.
You know what's weird? The entire process right now and everything that we have seen, going back to the assassination attempt, the fact that we are no closer to having really any public idea about what took place that day, that's really weird.
Yep.
It is reminiscent of the JFK assassination. It's reminiscent of everything. The Covenant shooting down in Nashville. That's really weird when we can't get answers.
Yep.
Who are we supporting? Who are we propping up? Folks, wake up, pray up. I love that. That's not mine. I gotta give credit where credit's due. That's Jack Pozobic, who is another interview. Go out and listen to Tucker's interview with Jack Pozo. If you're on my Facebook page, you'll see that I had an opportunity to cross paths with Jack a couple different times at the convention. One time he sat right behind me with his family, have a great picture of him putting his arm around his son, which I thought was awesome. Former naval intelligence, but go out and listen to his show. It's about a 2-hour show, so prepare yourself. It isn't the DPB show. It's just not an hour. But he says some pretty fascinating things, and a lot of you would start believing, like, wow, he's kind of one of those people that believes in all of that QAnon stuff. No. First and foremost, QAnon, I believe, is something that, like our friend just said, DC Jano, is something I think that was more promoted by the left than by the conservative
It's
mega
that
movement.
Republican pounce thing that Playbook does at Politico. It's their kind of way of saying, see, they're just a bunch of whack jobs on the right. It's not really a thing. These are people that are prominent voices on the right that have had inside Washington or inside the swamp experience talking about it. These aren't just some fringe people. These are people that are prominent voices who have had experience inside these walls, and that's important.
Understand what is transpiring. You know, my wife is doing a revelation series for those who are in the local market area of the DPB show. Hey, we'd love to have you guys reach out and be part of that, because I think it's good to understand what is transpiring right before our very eyes. We are seeing the end times played out. I believe that. I believe that the days are numbered. No, I'm not saying I know when that's going to be. In fact, not even the Son of God knows, according to the Bible. But we need to wake up and pray up, and we need to be vigilant about attacking this thing. We've got to get answers. We need to know why it is that our country was put in a tailspin. I think we have a lot of the pieces, a lot of the evidence, but it's time to demand, and don't back down. Whatever you do, you have the ability to transform this world, not in the manner that Kamala wants to do with transforming the White House, but truly transforming things for the sake of not only of this country, but for what we hold near and dear, which is our religious freedom. They are looking to decimate that, to undermine it, do away with it. You think the opening ceremonies was offensive? That you ain't seen nothing yet. That's another great little song from the back in the day. You ain't seen nothing yet. They're going to show us something that we'll never forget. They're bringing everything. And that starts with who their presidential nominee is going to be. Hey, we're right at an hour. So boom, it just hit an hour. So I appreciate you always joining us here at the DPB show with the Ryan Mac. Don't forget, Ryan Mac does his thing, the Ryan Mac show. We'll put that up in the comment section. We're going to be back on Thursday. Tanya and I will be on the road. So we probably will have to stop somewhere and get Ryan linked in with our streaming video. But we're going to do a show because I am pretty certain that there has been enough news in the last hour that I could have done a show on just what happened in the last hour. Because right now, as far as I know, everything is weird. But what isn't weird is God loves you. And that's more important than anything else. I love you. Ryan loves you. But ultimately, God loves you. And his son, Jesus Christ, died for us to have eternal life. Hey, until Thursday, I bid you all a farewell.